Something that you keep asking Allah for. You've been making dua about it for a long time and it still hasn't happened for you. Should you give up on the dua, or is there something different you should be doing? This is the question that I get asked over and over, and today I am breaking it down for you. One of the key mistakes I see you guys make is that you try to make reasonable duas. You try to keep your duas kind of understated. When you're making duas, you have your own filters where if you ask Allah, you're like, oh no, that's too much to ask Allah. I'm not good enough to ask Allah that. I know it's possible for other people. I know the prophets, peace be upon them, received huge miracles in their duas, but not me. So when I give you the example of Zakaria alayhi salam and the other prophets that made seemingly impossible duas, you kind of shrug it off and say, yeah, but that doesn't apply to me, Zaahida, because I'm not in their league, so it's not going to happen for me. You couldn't be more wrong. And one of the things that you make it mean is you say, well, if Allah hasn't given it to me by now, maybe He doesn't want that for me. You don't know what Allah wants. You really don't. So when it comes to a dua that feels unreasonable, I'm going to break it down for you right now and tell you what you should be doing. Instead of saying that it's not possible, give up on the dua entirely, this is what you need to be doing. But before that, I have to jump on a live call quickly. I'm about to go on a live call, Reclamation members, and we're doing a special exclusive training called the Besharam Money Training Workshops. And today we have a special live guest. She's a client of mine, has worked through her personal and generational financial traumas to blow the lid off her business. When she came to me, she was doing well in her business, alhamdulillah. There was nothing to complain about. But she wanted to blow the lid off it. She wanted to reach an income goal that was ridiculous, or she felt was ridiculous, that felt completely impossible. An income goal that not one person in her life could relate to. Work on that money shame that she had within her, and she's never looked back, mashallah. She's exceeded the ridiculous money goal. So she's joining us in the Besharam Money Training. I'm going to head into that now. Waiting for this to render. I knew that session was going to be powerful, but honestly, it blew my expectations out the water. This client of mine was so transparent. You know, she could be transparent because it's such a safe container. In my reclamation, there's so much trust. She was so bold and open about the struggles she has faced in her life, and she has faced some very, very serious struggles. The work that she's done with me and where she's come now. I mean, she went from... I remember when she, a couple of years back when we worked together on her Besharam money journey, she came to me and she said, you know, Zaahida, I've got this, I'm doing well and I have this income goal, and she couldn't even speak it. At the time, she was making about $20,000 months in her business, which is really good, mashallah. Like, there's nothing to complain about. Her husband is a good provider as well, and that was a big thing that we spoke about there, because I think so many women struggle with guilt about receiving money from their husbands, and then they feel that if they're earning their own money in their businesses, then they have no business taking from their husband, and that they're finishing his money and using up all his money. And we spoke about that a lot. That session went on for almost 2 hours, mashallah. And the guilt around receiving from her husband, she came into her marriage with that, and she had to work on that, and she had to release that. And one of the key things to take away from that is that she saw it firsthand, that when she released that and allowed him to be the provider, even whilst she was making her own money, his barakah went to another level. His risk went to another level. And I think I need to do a whole other video about this. If you've ever experienced guilt, or you have like cognitive dissonance about this, about receiving from your husband, put it in the comments if you want me to make a separate video about it. And she had this big goal. So she was so scared to even speak the goal to me, even as her coach, even as a mentor. She was so scared to speak it to me. And not only did she reach her goal when we worked together, but she superseded it. And now she's surpassing $700,000 months in her business, mashallah. And so she was so transparent about her journey. She has been through all of my programs, all my online programs, all my group programs, the group coaching. So she's been with me for a number of years. And it was so beautiful to see how she had committed to her inner work journey, implemented all of this, and she was now living the results of it, right? And it was just, what was very exciting is to see my clients get this first-hand experience of this person who is on the other side of it, the person who has achieved the thing that they're working towards. I want you to understand that if you have this goal that feels impossible, because to her that goal felt kind of impossible, kind of unreasonable, kind of really out there, something that she was almost ashamed of. You have a goal like that. You have a goal that nobody else in your life believes is possible. There are spaces and containers where we see it as possible. And instead of just going, oh, it's impossible, forget about it, there's no point, We say, hey, how can we make this work? What are the blocks that you have? What are the skills gaps? What are the belief gaps? What are the behavioral gaps? Who do you need to become? What version of you do you need to become to receive this? To receive this blessing that you are asking Allah for? The first thing you need to do is get very real. Now, that does not mean you have to tone down your dua. It means that you have to get real with yourself. Why do you want this thing? Why are you asking Allah for it? Are you asking for something because you think this is a thing that you should want? Or is there something inside of you that's driving you and telling you, I deeply desire this? So many of you don't know your why. You're asking Allah for du'as that you think you should have. You think you should have this kind of job. You should get married. And maybe deep down, you actually don't desire sharing your life with someone. Get honest with yourself. What do you really desire? The next thing is that you may actually be asking Allah for this, but blocking yourself from receiving it. And here's what I mean. Asking Allah for this big, bold, audacious dua, but can you handle receiving it? Are you the kind of person that can handle the blessing that you are asking for? If you're asking for an amazing marriage, maybe you want to turn your marriage around, then are you the person who has the emotional intelligence skills to have the difficult conversations? Do you have the conflict resolution skills that you need to have deeper intimacy in your marriage? Are you working on your own traumas and triggers so that you're not projecting that on your partner? If you're asking Allah for this big income goal, are you still speaking about money negatively? Are you still speaking about rich people negatively? If you are, you're blocking yourself from receiving the blessing. So this is what you need to shift when you're making dua so that you can receive your big, bold, audacious duas. When you're asking Allah for the blessing you desire, ask Him to make you the type of person that can receive it. Ask Him to shift your skills, your thinking, your beliefs, your behaviors, and your identity so you embody the version of you who can receive this blessing and do good with it. Ask Allah to remove any internal blocks that you have that are blocking you from receiving this. Ask Him to remove any self-sabotage. Ask Him to make you into the person who can receive this fully. But then you also have to accept that because you're asking for this, Allah might send you experiences, challenges even, that propel you towards that version of yourself. There may be healing that you have to go through. There may be self-development that you have to invest in. Maybe you have to spiritually elevate. You have to do your own shadow work. You have to question the beliefs that you've always accepted as truth. You will have to change parts of yourself and let go of all things that no longer serve you if you are willing to do your part and keep asking Allah all the time and taking inspired action. I am telling you, just like my client, many of those big, bold, audacious du'as can become your reality too.